be something you really agree to, just try to come up with maybe a couple more options in this area if the insurance comes back undetermined. Sorry, I had to switch gears on you there. You both ready? Okay. I believe Ross, I started with you last time, so Courtney, did you have another one in this area?
Yes, I had two ideas.
Okay.
If the insurance company says that the problem was because I didn't tell Ross in time, then I would happily split the cost of the window equally with him.
Okay, if it's because it's undetermined because of the length of time you'd split?
Right, it's just
Okay.
because of the length of the time.
Okay.
But if, the time isn't an issue and they just can't determine if it was me or the neighbors, then I would split the cost with Ross and the neighbors, so we each paid, 33% of the cost of the window.
Is it okay if I move a 5 up here? Is that okay? I'll go a little out of order. And you said, I'm sorry, if it's
Just undetermined what really happened, then.
between the three
The
parties?
three of us, yeah.
We just put if undetermined for any other reason besides time. Whoops. I'll put the third, neighbors, third, Ross, and third, Courtney. Okay. Ross, did you have another one?
Well, one of the things I put down was that we do need to contact and confront the neighbors.
Okay.
I think we need to do that for the noise issue as well as for the window issue.
Okay.
If on our confrontation they say, yeah, they did it, then I expect them to pay 100%.
Okay.
And it'll come out of their security
Okay.
deposit. Now, one of the things that did happen when I was talking to them about fixing the hole in the wall is that one of them's not gonna come back after this semester. And the other two, there's three guys, the other two were talking about maybe looking for a cheaper place to rent if there's only gonna be one left.
Okay.
And
And that stemmed from that last conversation you had with them when you were fixing the wall?
well, when I had the carpenter
Come and fix the wall?
And so I wouldn't mind them not being there anymore.
Okay.
But I can't kick them out because they really haven't done anything right for these.
Okay.
They put a hole in the wall, but then they paid for it through their security deposit. So,
Okay. Okay.
Wouldn't mind them leaving, but I think the first option then is to confront and talk to the neighbors.
Okay. Okay.
And if everything, I mean, I wouldn't be asking for a check directly from Ms. Taylor for her half of the pay. It'd be part of the security deposit that she already put down.
Okay.
But that's still hers. It's just that it wouldn't be going into Christmas, me taking some more money out of the pocket.
Okay.
Other than I really would like to get paid this one.
My only concern, I like that you recognize that it seems like at least a majority of your issues involve the neighbors. And it's unfortunate that we can't have the neighbors here with us tonight. So whatever options and agreements that we may have regarding the neighbors, there's always an issue or a possibility that they may not want to talk if you want to confront them, or possibly if they do agree to pay, maybe we can't force them to pay because they're not part of the agreement. So that's the only concern as a mediator, I guess I would have pull the neighbors in. But I think it is worth noting that maybe when it comes to communication, the two of you, if you agree to maybe talk to the neighbors, or if the neighbors are even there, like Ross indicated, seeing if they would contribute to the window. So that's my only caution. Any agreement having to do with the neighbors, as long as you both know there's a possibility that they may not pay or may not participate. So I guess with those options in mind and hearing from both parties, Courtney, which option do you think would probably be the most feasible if the insurance company did determine the cost for the window?
If they, okay, so we talk to the neighbors, we're taking the risk, but they don't want to chat. Use the insurance claim, and if the insurance company's willing to pay for it, then we take that route. So then we're left with if the insurance company.
It's undetermined, or they can't figure it out for a variety of reasons, the timing, or they just can't figure it out, maybe because it's a smaller window, things of that nature, so.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the time, then I certainly would not be opposed to him taking half of my security deposit to pay for the window. It'll clear the time is the issue.
Okay. And Ross, how about you? With more of these options, which one do you think?
If the insurance company denies the claim, okay, for whatever reason, I think splitting the cost of Courtney and have it coming out of security deposit
Okay.
is pretty fair.
Okay,
So it's more like 1 than 4, because it's not just for time, it might be, I'm not sure why the
Okay.
insurance company would.
okay, so what Ross is proposing, that not only just because of time, but for any other reason, to split half and half. How do you feel about that, Courtney?
I guess I would just, if it isn't because of time, then I would like an attempt to be made for the neighbors to pay for that, to split it in 3 ways.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
Ross?
I think we have to confront the neighbors anyway.
Okay, is that okay, Ross, knowing that maybe the neighbors won't participate, or at least, you at
Knowing
least
neighbors,
try? Yeah.
we can only try.
Okay, so we'll stick with this complicated little agreement with the window here, but it addresses all different factors. So we'll make an insurance claim, Ross will pay the deductible. If it's determined vandalism, then the insurance will cover beyond the deductible that Ross pays. If, for any reason, the insurance denies the claim, or it's undetermined because of time or any other reason, Courtney will pay half and half, but there will be attempt by Ross to get Courtney's half covered by the neighbors.
I'd like,
Is that correct?
like that to be Courtney and Ross.
Right,
Courtney,
we
okay.
would each get half of ours to be paid by.
Oh,
Yeah,
but the Courtney
I'd like
and Ross. okay.
To confront the neighbors, I think that it's
Oh,
only fair
together.
to do it together.
Okay,
So that if there's, I don't want to go into he said, she said.
okay. Is that agreeable to you, Courtney, to approach them together? Okay. And as a Courtney kind of brought up as a possibility to confront the neighbors if they admit that they pay the whole half remaining, but at the very least that the neighbors pay Courtney's half.
Well, I
Is that what
would
you
be,
said?
if they're willing to pay, I would be willing to split the cost 3 ways. I don't just need
Okay.
my half paid.
Okay.
I mean, and that's all with the time.
Okay, so maybe there'll just be a good faith effort with the neighbors, knowing that if the neighbors won't pitch in, that'll be half and half between the two.
My
So-
preference is if they broke
Yeah.
it, they pay the
Yep.
whole thing.
Yeah,
But
okay.
if not, then the 1/3 rule that she's talking.
Great,
sounds
I'm just trying to keep at least your guys' relationship ongoing, regardless of if the neighbors participate
Sure.
with you guys in the future, so. Okay, so I appreciate that, I'm going to write that little complex thing down real quick. And then we'll get to the options with the heat.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Hello? Barb, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back, okay, bud? Bye.
And we can always take a break if you need to.
It deals with work that, I'm leaving a week from Saturday to go to Fort Hood, Texas
Oh.
for a couple weeks.
And that goes the same for you, Cory, if you ever want to take a break, we can bring that too, so. Okay, so we'll skip back to heat now. So, I can't remember who I started with last time. Either of you?
I'll
I
start,
Yeah, you can go.
Is that
first.
okay? Okay. Ross, what's an option you have for heat in the meantime while the window will be fixed?
First option is have Courtney cover the window with duct tape and cardboard or something
Okay.
to try to cut down on the cold air, especially with temperatures we were having last week or so. See if we can cover that up. And I'll come in within the next couple of days and put in some plywood over top of the cardboard.
Okay, so for now, and then did I get that correctly, Ross? That you'll immediately you'll have her cover with cardboard or duct tape or something in the meantime right away. And then you will come over
With
and,
plywood.
oh, I'm sorry, you put up plywood, yes.
Until we can get it repaired.
Okay. Now Courtney, do you have an option for heat?
I will put up and cover the window, with cardboard, I have something over there now. Then I would just like to be allowed to have my space heater there.
Okay, so keep covered, so you do have it covered right now. And you said that was with cardboard?
Yes,
Okay.
and that plastic stuff.
Okay, so you have, is it the plastic first and then the cardboard over it? Just the
The
cardboard?
cardboard.
Okay, keep covered with cardboard.
Well, do you feel that plywood's necessary? I'm not sure I'm allowed to interrupt.
No, I don't,
Just 1 second and we'll let you talk back and forth here and use space heater. So your option, Courtney, is to keep covered with cardboard and plastic like you have now and then use a space heater in the meantime. I'm sorry, Ross, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just wondered if, with it set up now, would plywood even be necessary to go in there temporarily until we can get it repaired?
So,
I don't
yeah, I
know
think-
whether it's worth the effort to go over there, because it opens everything up for a while, and then we cover it up with something that might not be any better than what you already have.
yeah, I'm content with no plywood, I'm just continuing with the cardboard.
Okay. So if we continued with the cardboard, is that an option that Ross has? Is it just continue with the cardboard and plastic and not do? Okay. Courtney, did you have any more options that you had written down? And I thought I heard you agree that that was okay, but was it 3 that you were talking about, that this would be okay, keeping the
Yes,
cardboard?
also with the space heater for like my bedroom, because it's kind of my kitchen.
Okay.
It's pretty chilly.
Ross, it looks like the first 2 parts of 2 and 3 are the same, keeping it covered how it is. How do you feel about the space heater?
Ms. Taylor's shown to be a reliable tenant. I get a little nervous about space heaters because I think they're a hazard. Her neighbors would not be allowed to do that. I think a space heater would be okay, as long as she continues to be conscientious and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Safety, don't burn down my building.
Okay. So using a space heater maybe to kind of curb some of Ross's concerns, would you use the space heater in the meantime just until the window's
Yes,
fixed?
just until the window's fixed.
Would you be agreeable to not use a space heater after that to kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. So we will. I will write up Option number 2 is agreeable here. And next, I mean, it's,
The only other thing to that
Okay.
is that after we repaired the window, I'm gonna need some feedback like that took care of the heat.
oh, okay,
Because if there's something wrong with the heating plant, the heating system, I've got to know about that. I've got to maintain my building. But if the window repair takes care of the heat problem, then, you know, I'm a happy camper.
are you willing to do that,
Yes,
Courtney?
I had never an issue with the heat until it not being able to keep up with not having a window.
Only until fixed. And Ross gets feedback when new window is put in. Okay, so with the agreement of the window, until that's fixed, we'll keep it covered in plastic like Courtney has it. She's allowed to use the space heater in the meantime, but only until fixed, noting some of Ross's concerns. And then after the window's fixed, Courtney, you will let Ross know how the heating in your part of the duplex is working. Does that sound okay? Okay. We've kind of talked a little bit about both some of the communication and the neighbors. But it seems like the neighbors have been a little bit more prevalent in our discussion. So would it be okay if we move to the neighbors next? Would that be okay? Okay, so now I'd like you to each try to generate some options regarding the neighbors, specifically with the loud noise complaints. And if there's any other sub-issues from there, we can do that, but specifically just options for loud noise complaints.
Don't we want to include the heat in there, or the window in there too?
It's up to you. I thought maybe let's do the loud noise complaints first, and if we feel like we need to talk a little bit more about the window, we can do that separately. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. neighbors fell when people were watching you. Have you each had enough time? Do you have enough time now?
Yes.
Okay. And Ross, if my memory serves me correctly, you went first last time. So Courtney, do you have an option of how to deal with the noise and the neighbors?
Well, just like kind of an initial way to start fixing the problem is if I just start contacting the police during these parties. I mean, that's not really in their best interest by any means. I don't really know if you want the police coming to the duplex all the time.
It is certainly an option, so. Ross, do you have another option?
Well, first, I think what I ought to do is discuss with them, all three parties concerned, and try to voluntarily get them to tone it down.
Okay.
Although I've asked before, and it was not taken very serious.
Okay. Well, I put turn it down, but I'll just. Courtney, do you have another one?
I mean, I wouldn't be sad to see the neighbors leaving at the semester.
Okay. And by next semester, do you mean,
Like they
Like
can finish
January?
out the school year.
so,
Like, new term, yeah,
like next May, or this January?
this January.
This January. Okay,
They have paid their rent, anything they've broken, they paid for. I do not have any reason that I think is a good one to evict them.
okay.
Um,
Well, do you
So
have
what
any,
I-
do you have any other options? We can evaluate each one of these later, but we'll just
So what
try
I
to get a list right now,
would
yeah.
suggest we do is, if the noise continues, that I receive an email or snail mail or something that I can have in hand
Mhm.
that says this is a continuing thing, and if I get enough of those together, then I can have grounds for evicting them. But with the stuff I have right now, I just can't kick them out.
Okay,
And with that is, I don't want to have that side of the duplex stay empty from January through the end of July. That's 7 months of, that's a lot of lost revenue. So in order for me to kick them out, I need to fill that thing back out.
okay,
And right now, I don't have enough evidence or whatever you need to call it to evict them, so
okay.
before we kick everybody out, I need to have a couple things going. One, if they do want to leave, and they're talking about it,
Mhm.
I need, they're in a lease, and I'm not going to let them go if it's going to stay empty.
You talked a little bit earlier about that conversation you had with them. You said one had moved away out of the three.
At the end of the semester, he's leaving, he's not coming
Oh, at
back.
the end of the semester, okay, and then there's two will be living there, and they've expressed a concern of maybe finding a cheaper place.
You know, if there's only two of them paying, their rent goes up to them. It's still $800, it's
Yeah.
just more per occupant.
Have you had any other discussions with them, or is that the only thing you know about them?
That's all I know right now.
Okay.
We're just talking about it, and they were asking me, you know, what my opinion was, and I was saying, you signed a contract, I expect you to stay with that contract. I'll let you go if you can fill up the other side.
Okay.
Fill up where you're leaving.
Okay, so, so you're allowed to let them sublet to maybe find people to live in the duplex so they could move out somewhere cheaper? Is that what you mean?
I'm willing to, if they're willing to cut the lease, or their portion of it, I'm willing to let them do that. We'll just, I don't need them to sublet, I'll get somebody else,
Okay,
but I'm not gonna let them go until I have somebody else.
okay, okay, great, thank you very much, Ross. Courtney, did you have another option?
Well, I know two people, it's a young couple, married couple moving to Vermillion in January. The husband's gonna be beginning classes here, and they're looking for a place to live.
Okay.
That have expressed interest in wanting to live in, they like the duplex that I live in.
So they've been to your duplex? Ross, how do you feel about that? If that became an open spot?
We need to talk to the neighbors, and see what we can do about it. I think the onus then is on us to find out if you feel pretty certain that somebody will come in, then I can get, because it wasn't, we aren't coming back, because it can't be there. It was, we're kind of looking for somebody to go to find a cheaper place.
Okay.
And so we need to get that all coordinated. To me, that sounds, I prefer not to have to put in new walls or recommend stuff.
Okay, after, I just put new neighbors kind of from Courtney's thing, and it sounds like you'd at least be open to the prospect, but because they're already in a lease, you know, it's up to them whether or not they want to leave or not. Ross, would you be possibly willing to confront the neighbors like you said, and maybe tell them about the couple that Courtney knows? Or that there's at least someone that you might know that would move in if they wanted to leave?
I think we have enough so that we ought to do this. She ought to go too.
Okay.
For a number of reasons, but primarily, it would make things easier than going back and forth and back and forth. I mean, maybe that's what lawyers do, but I just like to get things out of the way if I can. So I think if we all get together, maybe we can come up with not only a short-term solution on things like the window, and maybe abating the noise a little bit now that it's getting close to exam time. But maybe a long-term solution and then go away. But I think we have to do it and do it together.
Okay. Well, our window tentative agreement here, if you guys were gonna go talk to them maybe at that same time, that would be a good time that at least Ross, you could make it known that Courtney, you could tell them too, that you at least know somebody in town, so that if the neighbors do find a place cheaper or more affordable for just the two men living there, that that's an option available to them. And that could maybe be a long-term solution. If that doesn't work out, then at least, Courtney, you can be with Ross and talk about these noise concerns in the long term. So I'll just put down, I'll generally call that the talk with the neighbors, Courtney and Ross. But as far as a short-term solution, knowing that that may or may not work out as a long-term, as far as a short-term situation, you know, as soon as maybe this weekend, is there any other option that you had, Courtney, how to deal with the noise?
I'd also really like a cat.
Oh, okay.
I think I could deal with the noise if the neighbors can't leave. I had a cat.
Okay. That might be a complete separate issue itself. Is it okay if I put cat over here and maybe we come back to that later? Would that be
You
okay?
can wherever you want to,
Yeah.
but it's not going to.
And then, Ross, did you have any other short-term how to deal with the noise?
No, I've got another short-term thing I need to take care of, but I'll do that in a minute. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to separate this 5 and 6 because these look like long-term goals that we may be able to. As far as short-term, like for instance, if there was a problem this weekend. Ross, which one to you do you think would be the most feasible way how to deal with a noise problem, maybe as soon as this weekend?
The most feasible one is talk to the neighbors and they voluntarily quiet down. Is that going to work? I don't know. It might. I don't think it'll work, but it might, and it's sure worth a shot.
Okay.
But I can't just kick them out without having some documentation that to allow me to evict them.
So you feel that number 3 it's just something that you can't do right now? Because you don't have that documentation to evict them?
Yeah, they would, they signed the lease just like I did.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'd sit there and laugh at me for a while.
Okay.
If I said, oh, well, if you can't be quiet, I'll kick you out.
Knowing that the talk still could happen with the window, the only concerns, you know, in reality, would that work out? You can always ask, but whether or not they're gonna come through with it. So you can always ask, and we'll keep that in mind, that it's a possibility, but knowing again, it's a possibility that may or may not work out. Courtney, which one do you think would be maybe one of the best options out of 1 through 4, maybe handling noise as soon as this weekend?
Okay, well also ideally like chat with them before the weekend about keeping it quiet. I do have tests coming up, hopefully they do too.
Okay.
If not, I mean, I don't know if contacting the police, if the police coming to one of their parties and getting, I don't even know what the citation is for disorderly house, if that is enough of a, to have enough of those as a basis for you to eventually enrich them, if this is an ongoing problem, if chatting with them doesn't work, if that can be the next step of talking to someone.
What do you think about that, Ross?
She wants to go to the police faster than I do. But I don't have any trouble, you know, going to the police. If we can't get satisfaction any other way, then we'll see if we can mess up their record for life.
What I hear is, at least the relationship, your relationship not only with Courtney, but the relationship with the other neighbors. So I sense that there's a lot of you want to talk to them, address them first. Maybe we could almost kind of combine these options to, you guys, when you go talk about the window, could also talk about the noise and say something to the effect of, you don't want to have to call the police, but you will have to if it continues, something of that nature. Would that be kind of 2 options that we could could put together. Would that be agreeable to you, Ross?
Yeah,
Okay, and would that be agreeable to you, Courtney? Okay,
as long as all these things get documented somewhere, so that it's not,
okay,
not he said, she said, and.
okay. I guess to do that, we could maybe even lump in here too, like Courtney, if, for instance, say you, the two of you go talk to the neighbors, and just the very next day it's loud again, and Courtney, you have to call the police. If you have to call the police, or if it gets so loud that you want to call the police, would you be willing to write that down? And you said you prefer hard evidence, maybe in a letter, and mail it to Ross. Would you be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, and Ross, would that kind of help that concern?
Even if she just
of-
emails me,
Okay.
because I can print out an email, that'd be fine, she doesn't have to spend a lot of time.
Would that be easier for you, Courtney? Is the
Yeah,
email?
either option is perfect.
Okay, so how about we'll just kind of merge all three of those together, that we'll try to talk to the neighbors. If that doesn't work, we'll let them know that, or you guys will let them know that the police will be called. And each time that there's noise problems or that the police is called, Courtney will email Ross, and can we say maybe within a day or two,
Yep,
or
the next day I'll do it.
with the next day, that would be able to work for you? Okay.
And we can't say they have to be totally silent the whole
No.
time. I mean,
Mhm.
we have to come up with reasonable parameters.
Okay.
It is a weekend, they are college kids, and, but
What would be a reasonable parameter for you, Ross?
Thursday night, they don't party.
Okay.
Uh,
Would that include Monday through Thursday, or just Thursday?
It's Monday through Thursday.
Monday through
Include
Thursday?
Sunday.
Okay.
Friday, in fact, Sunday through Thursday.
Sunday
nights.
through, okay.
Yeah.
So then from that, I would, reasonable would be, this would be,
Even like till midnight, like if they
okay,
are doing something till midnight, not a huge deal.
okay.
It's the midnight to 4 AM, that's the problem.
Okay, midnight on. Ross, what, as far as like timing wise, what do you think would be a unreasonable versus a reasonable time period?
I think if I wasn't just a little bit younger, I might be able to give you real parameters. But on Saturday night, anything after 2 o'clock is really too late.
Okay, he's saying 2 AM is really too
On
late.
Saturday, Friday, they don't need to party that hard on Friday either.
Okay.
Midnight sounds good for Friday, 2 AM on Saturday, and
Okay,
they can, that ought to take care of it. The rest of the stuff they're doing, they can be quiet.
okay. Courtney, how do you feel about midnight on Friday and 2 AM on Saturday? Is that okay? Okay. So,
Or even if they wanna switch them, like they, I don't even care if it's 2 AM on Friday, as long as Saturday's not also till 2 AM.
okay, okay. I'm just trying to think of a time period that you know, okay, Ross and I both agreed that it's Saturday, it's 2 AM, it's still very noisy, we would both agree that this is unreasonable. So it'd probably be best if we could get, either keep Friday a certain time and Saturday a certain time, or keep Friday and Saturday a certain time. So you guys wouldn't have to question each other whether or not that was a reasonable time or not. Do you see what I mean?
Okay, we can say like that midnight on Friday then.
Okay, so midnight on Friday, 2 AM on Saturday, so okay. Okay, so to recap all of them, and I'll write it all down for you. So we're gonna first talk to the neighbors when we also talk about the window and ask them to be quieter. Knowing that that's the first option, but that you both know that calling the police is an option if it's too late. And then also, if the police are called during the unreasonable time periods being Friday after midnight, Saturday after 2 AM, Courtney may call the police and report it, and within 1 day of that report, she will email Ross of her complaint made. And then Ross, do you have, or Courtney, do you have Ross's email address and vice versa? Okay, sounds great. So, I will write all of that up, and let's go ahead and get to the cat. Is that okay to talk about next? Is the cat, would that be okay?
Sure, we can talk about it.
Okay, I will write all this up, and then if you could force yourself to maybe come up with some options regarding the cat, that would be best.
I've got my options.
Does anybody know who I started with last time? Yeah, okay. Ross, what is an option that you have?
That there's no pet clause in the lease, and we should enforce it.
So, no cat. Okay. Courtney?
My ideal situation would be that if the neighbors don't stop with their partying and that we're unable to line up a new tenant for next semester, I feel like I should get a little something for dealing with them. I would really like it. My friend just had kittens, so I really like to have cats.
Okay. And are we talking?
Kind of like compensating for the noise problem.
Okay. So, it's not your concern to have a cat right now, it's more of a concern that if the neighbors stay and continue to be loud, that you get a cat.
Right.
And just to be sure that I'm understanding, it's just one cat?
Just one cat.
Okay.
And I'd get it declawed.
Okay. So, the option of if noisy still, one cat, knowing that if you decline. Okay. Ross, do you have any other options?
My fear is if you have a cat, then the neighbors will bring in pythons. But how about an aquarium?
Okay,
Uh,
so maybe an alternative pet, i.e., can I just say fish?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Courtney, do you have any other options?
No, not really.
Okay. Any other options from you, Ross?
No?
Okay. Well, it seems to me like we're a little bit off the spectrum here, and either we can talk it out or try to think of more options. I think at this point that maybe we can talk it out as a group. So, Courtney, so the main reason you want a cat is if there's noisy still. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right, I just, know, if the no cat is not gonna break, then even if there was like a slight reduction in my rent, like, I just feel like I have to continue to deal with these neighbors, should receive some kind of compensation.
Okay, okay. And Ross, after hearing that, what do you feel? Or what's your response?
I thought the aquarium was a nice little touch there.
Mhm.
She's already signed a no pet clause
Okay.
as part of the lease, and as far as compensation for noisy neighbors, I think we need to discuss that at a later date after we've run through alternatives of getting them to be quiet, calling the police, getting them to move out,
Okay.
things of that nature.
That's actually another option that could fall under like future mediation. Maybe you're not, didn't know that that was like an option you were generating, but if after all this has happened, if there's still a problem, you guys can agree to come back and mediate out that issue. Again, it'd probably be with that you'd each pay $50, but if you come up with an agreement, you would each get it back. Save you time and money with having to deal with a future problem. And you can be able to solve it in maybe a couple hours. So at that time, if there's still noise, then you could talk about possible rent reduction or adding a pet or whatever. You could come up with a host of options at that time. Courtney, how do you feel about this option, that the future mediation?
If the cat's a definite no at this point, then I'm happy with future mediation. I get the cat for free, whereas I have to buy an aquarium.
Okay,
So,
okay,
probably won't get a fish.
okay. It seems like this is, the whole issue is pretty contingent on the future. So I guess, Ross, did you have any other options or anything that you would have to add in this area?
No.
Okay.
Having pets in apartments and things, they're just wonderful. I've got a dog and had a cat at home, and they're great. Boy, do they make a mess. That's why it's part of the, it's a clause in the lease agreement, because they make a mess no matter how you clean up. It's going to take quite a bit for me to open up my duplex to cats and dogs and things. Future mediation, we can come up with something if everything else doesn't work later. But I'm really not going to budge very far on the cat thing.
Okay. What do you think about that, Courtney, after hearing that from Ross?
That's fine. I mean, ideally, it wouldn't be a problem
It wouldn't be a problem
because the
anyways?
neighbors think
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So which to you do you think would probably be the most feasible at this point?
I mean, I would like to have to do this again, but future mediation.
Okay. And Ross, what do you think would be the
I concur.
same with the
Yes.
future mediation? Okay. So we can go ahead and I will add a future mediation clause at the end. And what I'll do is I'll just say regarding any outstanding issues, and if that only involves the cat, then that's it. If it involves anything else regarding any other problems with the neighbors, you can always do that too. So, okay. So it seems like the last thing, and we've talked about it already, is this communication and notice. We talked about notice a little bit as far as, Courtney, like you'll notify Ross via email if you ever call the police. But a lot of this, it seems like with the relationship between the two of you and each being reliable and kind of trying to keep the duplex up, I thought it'd be nice to maybe set up a, just if there's any problems in the future, what's the best way to contact each other. So if we can maybe generate some options, just the best way to communicate in the future regarding problems, I think that would really foster the relationship between the both of you. So if you could come up with some issues just on communication, that would be great. You guys ready?
Sure.
And I think it's Courtney's turn first.
I will go back to my usual of calling in, 5, 6 p.m. when I have an issue with the rental property.
Okay. And do you have Russ's cell phone or home phone? Okay, and he's provided those to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Russ, do you have an option?
On communication, monthly we need to talk.
Okay.
Primarily, she'll, or leave a note with the rent or something that you're gonna pay me every month. You always have, so that's gonna happen. If there's any communication that needs to be done with that, it sure is a great time to do it. We can
Okay.
schedule basically. And then complaints and neighbors, not only the calls in the evening, which is fine. I'd like for you to follow those up with an email so that one of the things that's really nice for me to do is